10 Minutes of Truth is proud to present Patrick Henry's Red Hill.
Hey everybody, once again, y'all know this is Sean Barksdale, 10 Minutes of Truth. We were out here earlier for an interview, right, about Red Hill and Patrick Henry, and something happened that I did not know that was going to happen. Patrick Henry is
fifth great grandson.
Fifth great grandson is on the property, and I hear this, right? So, of course, we had to have a conversation with this fine young man. I don't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about me, but we're going to get to know each other, and we're going to talk about this wonderful event, what Red Hill has to offer. But first, I'm really excited because you're kind of famous.
Well, first of all, my name's Patrick. Nice to meet you, Sean. Nice to meet you, buddy. Because this really is our first meeting.
It is. It really is, Patrick. Thank you, first and foremost.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Not knowing that you would be on camera, that you did get on camera.
And the United States Navy's joining us.
Oh,
too.
they've been with us all day. They've been with us all day long. Thank you.
Safe.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Met two beautiful ladies, CEO Hope Marston and Keisha Folks of programming, director of programming. Y'all have beautiful grounds here. Thank you once again for inviting us. Let me ask you this, Patrick. First of all, where are you from?
I actually live in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
So I'm about 9 hours away.
Okay.
I'm recently retired, but I've been coming down to Red Hill, doing events, talking to people for about 20 years.
Really?
And but now that I'm retired, I can come down a little bit more often.
Absolutely.
It's about a 9-hour drive, but I love it, and I do it as often as they need me.
A lot of
love being here.
Thank you. A lot of people don't. A lot of which we would call city slickers, and we do not disregard you. We want you guys to come because a lot of time people from up north and from bigger cities, they don't understand the richness of the country and the land, especially that Red Hill has to offer. I want to talk about first the value of a name, because which we'll talk about the slave quarters. The value of a name is important.
Definitely.
And carrying that name. The pass down of your grandfather, that name, tell us what that name means to you.
I'm very honored to have the name Patrick, and my middle name is Henry, and my last name is Jolly. So there you go, Patrick Henry Jolly.
Wow.
I descend from two of Patrick Henry's daughters, so the last name was lost immediately.
Okay.
But I'm proud to have the name Patrick Henry. I also feel, especially with what I do as portraying Patrick Henry and coming down here to Red Hill and talking to folks about Patrick Henry, talking about Red Hill, to me, I also feel a great responsibility with that name. And I take that responsibility very seriously, and it's something that's not always easy to live up to, because Patrick Henry, not only was he a famous guy and important in our American history, but generally speaking, he was a good guy, and he was somebody that's worth knowing about. And so again, there's that responsibility with carrying on the name and being kind of like a face of Patrick Henry to a lot of people. There's a responsibility that goes with that.
Absolutely. At 10 Minutes of Truth, a lot of times I have interviewed everybody from senators to CEOs of broadband, Microsoft.
Not that important,
right? But but the reason I say that is because I have to do a lot of research. right? Me not knowing a lot of, as I told the ladies earlier, when you think of Patrick Henry, you think of the phrase "give me liberty or give me death," and that's pretty much all you know, because a lot of history is lost, not just with him himself, with the grounds, with our ancestors, and things of that nature. But as I started to study, what I did learn was that a lot of the core principles that he had are just fundamental principles for every individual that we can still live by today.
Definitely.
Right? So that is something, as Takesha was saying earlier herself, is that the dialogue. This dialogue is important, right?
Very much.
And, just moving forward. So with understanding that, talk a little bit about before we get to talking about Red Hill, you make me think of something, right? Because when you say, playing your grandfather, do y'all ever do in reenactments, or do you ever actually play him?
Oh, I certainly do.
Because I see the long hair.
Yeah.
That's why I said it. I see the long hair. I said he got exactly. I gotta come to see this. I gotta come. And this is what we want you guys to know. There is so much that is offered at Red Hill. Like I said, the grounds are beautiful. So we want people to understand and know the richness of this community. And like I said, what we do at 10 Minutes of Truth is we make you family, and we like to become family, right? We don't do one-offs. When we come in, we build and we nurture relationships, right? With that being said, over the years, the development of Red Hill. Talk about the development over the years.
Well, I first visited here with my mother, and it's on my mother's side that I descend from Patrick Henry.
Okay.
I first visited back in 1978 or something like that, when I was in high school. And so
you age a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Although I don't look 60, do I? And so when I came here, I fell in love with this place.
Okay.
But I didn't come back for 7 or 8 more years. And then I visited a few more times. And, over the years, Red Hill physically hasn't grown a lot. I mean, they've acquired more land, they've done the work down on Quarter Place Trail, but physically the structures here at Red Hill are pretty much the same as they were back when I first came here.
Right.
But what really has developed is the presentation of Red Hill to the community and to the visitors, and the experience that people have when they come to Red Hill.
Right.
It's a lot. It has grown. It's developed over these years, and now, you were asking about me portraying Patrick. Tomorrow, there's going to be a group of high schoolers that are here.
Oh, wow.
Like 90. A bunch of high schoolers are going to be here.
Wow.
And I'll be dressed in character. And so they give opportunity for doing living history, which they've been doing for several years. So like the blacksmith shop, that'll be in operation.
Oh, wow.
They do spinning and weaving and flax to linen, colonial cooking, just what, they'll have the kids come into the kitchen and say, okay, what's the difference between this kitchen and your kitchen? Well, obviously there's no electricity, so that rules out refrigerators, microwaves, blenders, and whatever else. And so, but really what's changed over the years and what has developed over the years is really the presentation of Red Hill and the message of Patrick Henry and life here at Red Hill as a whole, the entire story of Red Hill. And that is something that has really developed, is that entire story, which obviously includes the enslaved community here and Quarter Place Trail. Now, the property of Quarter Place Trail, although it wasn't necessarily always part of the Patrick Henry Memorial Foundation, the cemetery and the grounds were down there, and people would go down and see that. And I've been telling people for years that when they walk down Quarter Place Trail, and especially when they get to the cemetery, that is one of the most special places here at Red Hill. Confession time, okay? Proper etiquette. When you go into a cemetery, gentlemen are supposed to remove their hats. I've been in the Henry Cemetery so many times, and I do tours there. I admit it, I don't always take off my hat.
Right.
I go down to Quarter Place Trail. When I walk into that cemetery, this thing comes off. There's just there's something that is so very special about that place. Several years ago, before I even knew that we were going to be doing any kind of formal
Right.
celebration of Quarter Place, we have a list of all the enslaved who were here, the 67
Oh, wow.
enslaved individuals that were
Okay.
here at Red Hill, by name.
Oh, wow.
By name. And
Wow.
this isn't to pat myself on the back, but several people know about this. I went down there by myself without telling anybody, and I almost get emotional,
Right.
and read off those names
Wow.
by myself. Nobody knew I was doing it, but I sat there and I thought, I wonder if this has ever been done before. That
Wow.
place is so special. And so that is something, you talk about the development of Red Hill, you can't stop without mentioning Quarter Place and what's happening and the research that's going on, like Takeshan's involved in, and everybody at Red Hill is involved in the community engagement of reaching out to the folks, the possible descendants. I've met people that were descendants of the enslaved here.
Wow.
I'm a descendant of the guy who owned them.
Right.
That's powerful.
It is.
That's powerful.
It is.
And
It is.
we communicate and we get over that fact that, my ancestor owned your ancestor. No, I want to celebrate their life.
Right.
I want to celebrate the life of the 67 people that were here, enslaved here at Red Hill. We can't change the past.
That's right.
I can't apologize for my great-grandfather. But we can celebrate the life of Shadrach.
That's right.
Pedro, Critty and her 3 kids. We know there was Harrison, Coleman,
Wow.
and
Wow.
Jack. Jack was the one that Patrick Henry supposedly said, when we found Red Hill, we found one of the garden spots of the world. That's a phrase that we use today. He said that to a little enslaved kid. Maybe that tells us something about the relationship that he had
Right.
with these individuals.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I try to be positive about it, and I don't want to negate the evils of slavery. And at the end of the day, Patrick Henry was a slave owner. I get that. But let's celebrate their life. But again, I kind of went off in a different direction, but it is really all about the development of Red Hill
Right.
and what they're doing with Quarter Place.
Patrick, that was I almost got emotional too as you were explaining that, because you went in depth. Please talk to not only the nation, but the minority community, pastors and churches, about why they need to invest in Red Hill.
That's a big open-ended question, Sean.
Right.
10 minutes of truth might take us 20 minutes to
Right.
do this, okay? I think it's very important for minority communities to become engaged here at Red Hill. As I said earlier, it's about learning and it's about celebrating the life of the folks who lived here, who worked here, who were part of the Red Hill family. Maybe not in the traditional sense of being part of the family, but when you look around at Red Hill and the beauty of Red Hill, we certainly owe a lot to that, to the folks that worked here. So I think it's important that that people come to Red Hill to engage in the conversation, to learn about the history, and again, to be part of that celebration. We can learn from each other. As we were talking about, iron sharpens iron. There's nothing I can do about my family's past.
Right.
There's nothing this person can do about their family's past. We can't change that.
Right.
But we can learn about each other, and we can move forward.
Right.
We want to continue as a nation and as individuals to continue to better ourselves.
Right.
We don't live in a time of that kind of slavery anymore. I say that kind of slavery anymore because in certain situations, in certain instances, even here in the United States,
Right.
Slavery still occurs, and I'm not
Right.
talking about capitalism or anything like that.
Right.
But we don't live in that past anymore.
Right.
And we have we moved from a time of heavy racism that kind of culminated with Dr. King and people of people like that. But we're still very divided.
Right.
And we need to come together.
Correct.
And so for that reason, I
Correct.
think it's very important
Absolutely.
that folks come to Red Hill so we can understand the past. We can celebrate the lives of the people that were here. That's what I'm all about.
Absolutely.
Is honoring, like I mentioned, Shadrach, Pedro,
Yes.
Pretty, Dinah, Peg. I mean, the list goes on and on of real people. These are
Right.
real people.
Right.
Let's not worry about fighting anymore. Let's
Right.
put that all behind us, and let's look at the lives of these people.
Right.
Let's honor the people that are buried down there, and represent together.
Absolutely. And that's what we do here at 10 Minutes of Truth is we promote diversity. We promote change. If there's anybody that understands change and the narrative of change, it is me. So I really thank you for this. Let me ask you, what do you see or what do you have for the future of Red Hill? What does that look like for you?
Well, I hope it lasts a long time. I hope it lasts a long time.
You got sons?
I got kids. I got two sons and a daughter.
Okay.
And they love Red Hill.
Okay.
They haven't been here in a few years,
Okay.
but my family loves Red Hill, and I think that's another reason that folks ought to come here to Red
Right,
Hill, because
right.
you stand here and you look out over the river valley behind me,
Right.
and it's basically the way that it was when Patrick was here, and that's hard to imagine. Now, there might be trees that weren't here and all that, but you look out over my shoulder, you won't see any power lines.
Right.
You don't see any cell towers.
That's why we set up out here.
That's right.
And we had to.
You might hear the Navy
Right,
flying over
right. But we
occasionally.
had to. We had to. And I want you to finish that. But because of the scene, how it looked, we wanted the real effect of the heat.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
to understand the past, so that we can understand the present, to be able to understand where we want to go in history. And this was just a bonus to have to have you here. Thank you. But continue to just let people know, just moving forward for Red Hill.
So moving forward, education is a very important thing.
Yes.
Here at Red Hill, and the staff here are committed to learning more and more about Patrick Henry, the folks that lived here, the folks on Quarter Place, again, the entire Red
Yes.
Hill family and the entire life here at Red Hill.
Right.
They're committed to that. And so I think that as we move forward, we're always going to be learning more about Patrick Henry and his life. We're going to be learning more about the Henrys that lived here after Patrick.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Patrick purchased Red Hill in 1794, and it was in the Henry family all the way up until 1944.
Wow.
Yeah, when his great-granddaughter lived here.
Okay.
And she passed away in 1944, and then the Patrick Henry Memorial Foundation purchased it. But, that entire time, there's a lot of learning that needs to be done about what was life like during that time.
Absolutely.
And also with Quarter Place.
Right.
There's still so much to learn. I don't recall the numbers. There's 147 known graves down in the cemetery, down in the African American cemetery. I don't recall the number that we know the names of. I want to say it's like 40 or something like that. I was going to say, don't quote me on that, but I guess it's being quoted unofficially 40 something.
Right.
It could be 20 for all I know.
Right.
But unfortunately, we'll never know who is buried in what grave.
Right.
Because the graves are simply a large rock at the head, a small rock at the foot, and then where it is collapsed, a big divot in the middle. So we may not know that Shadrach is buried here, but we know that Shadrach's there somewhere.
Got it.
For example. And so maybe over time, we learn the 147.
Right.
And that's only going to come from the engagement with the community and the engagement with the African American community, who can tell us about their ancestors who might have worked here at Red Hill, who lived here at Red Hill, whether they were enslaved or even if they were free, because many were here after emancipation.
Right.
So, to summarize your question, education is going to push Red Hill forward.
Yes.
Education about Patrick Henry, about life here at Red Hill, which obviously includes the community that lived and called Quarter Place home.
Absolutely. My great grandfather's name was Shadrach.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
My grandmother's father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when you said the name, I automatically, I thought about my great-grandfather. And that's what community is about.
It really is.
Connecting. We have to connect the dots. We have to connect with one another, man. I really appreciate you for coming out and having us, man.
I appreciate you having me. The time has passed for us to be us.
Absolutely.
Man.
Absolutely.
We come together now.
And we definitely look to help you guys move that narrative along with 10 Minutes of Truth and what we do and how we do what we do. So, we're family now.
Yes. Appreciate it, Sean. Thank you.
I just learned myself a lot of history here at Red Hill in that brief segment. The thing about it is that I have to take this information myself and share it. I'm asking you guys, we put a lot into what we do. Just 9 hours here. It's a lot of man hours. A lot goes into what these ladies had to do today. If you do not share, not just like, it's okay to like, but we need you to share because we need our community here. We need our nation to come here and learn about those names that we heard from our ancestors, to hear and to understand the development of the quarter place, what they're doing with the quarter place, where the quarter place will go, where Red Hill will go. So I'm asking you, our 10 Minutes of Truth family and beyond, to please subscribe, please like, please share. You can contact us and you can listen to us and see us on iHeartRadio, Google Play, Apple, Spotify, and most podcast platforms. But we're gonna need you. We're gonna need you to come out. We're gonna need you to share. Thank you so much, man, for passing this information on.
My pleasure.
I look to hear a lot more. Thank you guys so much. This is Sean A. Barksdale. This has been 10 Minutes of Truth.
Thank you for watching and listening. And you can follow us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. And please follow us on Twitter. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Patrick Henry's Red Hill YouTube channel. Thank you.